So, in terms of a relationship, how much weight do you put on having a supportive partner or counterpart? Is that something that's negotiable? Is it a non-negotiable? Do you need 90%? Do you need 50%? Like, how much weight in a relationship do you put on support? And that's personal and like personal relationships and like, you know, husband-wife relationships.
I think like in a romantic relationship, whether it's significant other, husband and wife, I think that it's a non-negotiable. Just for me, maybe even personally, I have seen people that they have that divide. Like this person does this and this person does that, and that's it. I think for me, because you're with that person so much, they have to be understanding of what you're doing. Like, you know, if I'm on my phone or I'm writing a blog post or an article or something, I don't want that person to feel like I'm slighting them in some way. So if they don't have an understanding of what I'm doing, to them it looks like, oh, she's just on the computer. She's always on the computer. Or, you know what I mean? Or, you know, me taking frivolous photos to someone that may look like, why are you always taking pictures? But that person's like, no, like, I need this so that I have stuff to post. I think the understanding has to be on a whole nother level when you're wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I've seen some relationships fall apart because of it, because there's not an understanding, going back to what we said a minute ago, that there's so many different things that go into it. It's not just saying, I'm going to set up shop. It's like, you know, you have marketing, PR, yes. You got to get out and meet with people, you got to get your name out there, and there's so much that goes into it. If you don't have support, they'll feel like you're just doing busy work. Like, what are you doing? You going to another event? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And not understanding bigger picture.
Bigger picture. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I don't want my partner to be questioning what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, I don't want to consistently have to explain to you, like, no, I'm not on the computer just surfing the internet. Like, right. I'm writing, you know, for my blog, I'm recording my podcast. I don't want to keep having to have that same conversation. Like, I need you to understand that I'm hustling. You know, I'm always working. I'm always on.
Yeah.
At no point am I off, and I don't want to have to keep having that same conversation.
I think it goes to value, too, and that they have to value what you're doing. They can't just feel like this is your hobby. Like, no, I'm building a business. Even if it doesn't look that way now, or maybe, you know, some people aren't quite profitable yet or things like that. It's like these are the building blocks. You have to understand the value of what I'm doing and not downplay it like, you know, it's
right.
not important.
It's not important.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I really think that, I know for me personally, it's definitely non-negotiable. Off rip, like, warning.
Right.
This is what I come with.
Right.
If you can't handle it, then scoot. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but it's almost like, you know, past that support phase, like the verbal support, I really need you there.
Right.
Like, that's more important to me. I'm pretty sure everybody in their life has had someone say, oh, we support you and things like that. But to me, it really means a lot when, you know, somebody's asking you, like, oh, what am I doing? You're not just like, oh, well, I don't know what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know what she's doing. She's always doing something. Like, I need you to understand and actually, if you take the time to actually be hands-on with me, you will understand it more. Maybe you would.
Right.
You'll see the value.
You would see the value in what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's the opportunity for you to promote my brand.
Right.
If somebody asks you what I'm doing, you know,
like, oh no.
Because a lot of it is confidence. So as a budding entrepreneur, you have to have confidence. But at the same time, if the other person, if your significant other is out and someone asks them, so, you know, what's Georgie up to right now?
Right.
And he's able to say, oh my gosh, she's doing this, she is super busy. That confidence, that energy he's going to exude around it is going to make them interested.
Right.
Really?
Exactly.
She's doing it? Tell me more or whatever. I think it's so important, and mindset is important, because one of the battles that a lot of times budding entrepreneurs have with their significant others is that the significant other has kind of adapted to the work-life kind of thing of like, I go to work and then my off time is when I live. And for an entrepreneur, we blend it all the
together.
Time. Right. And so we live our business. You know, our business is our life, and it just all kind of melds into that whole thing about freedom. And, you know, but so changing their mindset and having them maybe open their eyes to what you're doing, even if it's not something they want to be completely sold out into, that can be challenging, because mindset is a hard thing to overcome.
Yes,
it is. I'm not gonna even lie. Like, trying to get someone to understand your lifestyle is probably the hardest thing, especially when they're in that mentality of, you know, I'm going to school so that I can work, and then I'm working 9 to 5, and then when you're coming with these dreams and goals and ambitions, and it's not in that order that everybody else is in that order, they look at you like you're strange. Like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what she's doing. I don't think that's going to work. It's foreign to people. And so I think if people just open their minds a little bit and try to understand that there is another side to just 9 to 5 working, there are people out here that are actually like go-getters that are going to go get what they need to do. Like, as far as a relationship standpoint, just have an open mind.
Right.
I think that's really important.
I think that's important too.
Open mind, like, and just try not to be selfish with it.
I
think that's really what it is.
That's the word.
It's this selfishness. Like,
people make it about them.
You make it about them. You make it about you. So if I'm not like hanging out with you all the time or spending time with you because I'm working, then you're taking it personal.
Right.
And it's really not personal. It's just something that I want to explore in life and something that will better me and possibly us in the future if you allow it to happen.
Right. I think that too, some people who have not seen that from the forefront before, they see other people as successful, and all they see is the end result product. And they have to be able to see that that's where I'm headed. I'm not there yet, but that's where I'm headed, and that's where I need you to help me get to. And so, but behind all that is a ton of work. And preparation and putting things in motion. So I think it's like, it's a shift in mindset. This is not like going to your 9 to 5, clocking in, and then you're done with work and you leave it there. This is like, oh, we have free time on Saturday? Well, let's go do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's more like, we're not just going to snuggle up on the couch this weekend. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. It takes some sacrifices.
Yeah, it does.
So, knowing what you know now about being an entrepreneur, do you guys feel like lack of support would be a deal breaker in your relationships?
Yes. I think for anybody who has the desire to be an entrepreneur or to build a personal brand, that's going to take more effort than just building social media, that it should definitely be something that's considered up front. It's kind of like the kid question, like, do you want to have kids? How many do you want to have? That's a question you ask before you get way too deep, because it can be one of those things that you say to someone, I know it's my time. I'm ready to, you know, maybe leave my job or not go into the workforce. And if that person is looking at you like, that was not my plan, you know what I mean? That's a whole different conversation.
Right.
And you can lose support that you may have had by not being upfront or not understanding where they fit in, because they may not want a relationship with someone who does not, you know, participate in the traditional workforce or the traditional trajectory or what they thought their life was going to be, you know.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And to a certain extent, for me, I just feel like if you aren't going to be supportive and you don't agree with like the entrepreneurial lifestyle, I need to know that on the front end, because it starts to feel like you're an energy sucker when you're not supportive. I mean, it starts to feel like you're just there taking up space, taking up my time, and pulling all this positive energy that I'm putting out from me.
I think they do. I think to some degree, because they don't know what to do, it becomes like, oh, you're doing that again? Well, or even distracting things like, well, let's go do so-and-so. And it's like, you know, I'm working. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you left your work at work, but I'm working.
Now, at home. When I get off work, I'm working at home.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know?
Like, I really agree with that 100%, because I can have somebody else in the place, whether it's family, you know, I can't have new family. I can definitely transform my entire circle. If that's what you're not going to be a part of. I can build an entire circle where I'm going to have people that barely know me that's going to go just as far.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that you do learn that once you become an entrepreneur. You start networking with like-minded people, and you get away from maybe the people that you were around when you were doing something more traditional. You start to get like this creative energy going. And that's where you do feel the suck, because then when you're around people who aren't contributing or who aren't supportive, it feels a whole lot different than when you're around people that are like, oh, that's a good girl, when? Let's do it. When we're going to schedule it? Like, that energy is what gets you going. And if you're around someone who doesn't want to understand, because I hate to say doesn't understand. It's really that they don't want
to
to
understand.
Right.
It's not rocket science.
Exactly.
The fact that I don't want to work like
Right. That's what
what
I
it
want to
is.
build an empire and have true life freedom.
Right.
You know, if they don't want to understand that, then it does feel like they're sucking the life out of you, because when you're around them, you have to be somebody different. You have to kind of tone it down and maybe say, okay, well, let me hurry up and get this done so I can go do this with this person, or so they don't feel like I'm, you know, ignoring them or whatever. And, you know, I think that's definite.
And speaking from personal experience, I think I was just telling you that, Tiffany, that when you leave those people that have that traditional mindset, and you're now in a room with somebody who's as creative as you and really supports you, you realize just how drained you really are.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm telling you now, like, do not even allow yourself to be in that situation, because it makes you go backwards. I didn't get anything done for 2 weeks, and then I had a meeting with Tiffany, and I was like, okay, I am so re-energized.
Yeah.
I had these ideas on this paper this whole time, but I could not move forward with anything because my energy was just being completely sucked.